Okay, so Mo, this has been a great conversation. I think
Ooh,
we've touched upon abstract, we've touched upon housing, the throughputs of housing being like everything's being politicized. So I'm not surprised that housing isn't
yeah.
politicized. And just for the audience, when we mentioned YIMBY and NIMBY, I had this when I
Mhm.
first started Brickwork. I was like, what are YIMBYs and NIMBYs? They're very
Right.
simple acronyms. A YIMBY
Mhm.
is yes in my backyard, and NIMBY is no in my backyard, which just means
Mhm.
backyard meaning not the, well, also now my backyard, but that's your house, meaning your neighborhood is your backyard.
Mhm.
And they have,
Right.
so there is the local control where pre SB9 or pre ADU, you had what's
Mhm.
called the small lot subdivision law. It's still in
Mhm.
application in all over the states, different variations of the rule in the cities. But essentially, you go a year throughout the process, going through plan check, going through all the steps that you have to take. But towards the
Mhm.
end, when you've already upfronted the cost for everything, you are now subject to a hearing, and the hearing is based on, are you a coastal city? It's subject to the coastal
Mhm.
commission, right? Or even not that, just your neighborhood planning commission. And they could say no to you adding a unit in your own backyard, right? And the property that you own because you're splitting the lot. They could add conditions, which are okay, we think you should have a higher setback, or we
Mhm.
don't agree with two-story because it's going to affect viewpoints from your neighbors. And, you get what I'm saying, right? So they add these
Right.
arbitrary conditions. And
Mhm.
if you meet them, then you've come out of the other end with not what you were intending to build, but you got an approval. Or worst case, you spent all that money and you didn't get an approval. So
Mhm.
this process had to be fixed. It's broken, right?
Mhm.
So like we're not here saying that SB9 and ADU is the perfect solution, but
Mhm.
to counterbalance the point of the people that want local control, great. Have local control, but the counter to local control is also have a path to make things easier, and there is housing at the other end. Yes, you need
Mhm.
budgets. Yes, you need infrastructure. All of those are yeses. But in the end, it's also how do you get housing? How do you get the housing out there approved? So, it's not a perfect solution
Mhm.
at all. As you can
Exactly.
see, right? The more you dig, the more you actually understanding the complexity and problems. I'm sure that you.
True. Yeah. I mean, to give you my perspective of it, I mean, before you reached out, all those years back, I was just, blind to the whole issue of housing. I knew it was a big issue in California, but it wasn't until recently when I actually put together this report that I really got an understanding of it. And I was like, okay, I do understand the supports, I do understand the oppositions, and just navigating real estate
Oh,
in California, let alone like in the rest of all the other states, uh, can really, really be quite confusing and complex. So,
and
making
fervent
sense of it is,
support and
uh,
passionate responses, as you can see.
right.
And so it's psychology, right? So I think
Hmm.
even for brickwork, when SB9 passed, there's Homestead in up in Silicon Valley. They're a startup that was vertically integrated architects, GCs, and everyone there to propose implementing SB9 to homeowners in their backyards. Hey, we'll help you build it. We'll front the cost. We'll split the lot. And then we could sell it at the end. And we were like, oh, that's a great idea. Help create a frictionless process for homeowners to utilize and build more housing. But even us in our early stages, it's all your nest, it's your psychology. It was, even though there is a carrot out there, which is, oh, you build it, you make money, there's more equity. It's more
Hmm.
nuanced than that. It's like, but I don't want to go through that. Right. I don't want
Right.
to disrupt my life. Come on. Like I'm okay where I'm at. You don't need to
Hmm.
come in here. And then I don't want a neighbor because I bought this house to have my personal space. So, you know,
Exactly.
my response to that was, that is why, even though I am a proponent of the bill, the
Hmm.
implementation and execution should be the
Hmm.
choice of whoever wants it and does it. Does that make sense? So like
Hmm.
there are going to be
Oh
vastly
yeah.
neighborhoods that don't want to do this. That's perfectly fine. You know, like I'm
Mhm.
also, you know, even though I'm here and talking brickwork, I think
Mhm.
the problem is big enough and there's enough opportunities and parcels so that everyone can have their decision on what they want.
Mhm.
So,
100%.
okay, great. Well,
Yeah.
look, Mo,
Good times.
yeah, I'm. This was. I'm so glad that we got the together to do this, and yeah,
Definitely.
let's